freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 2 recap for this week's Tour Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Mark Immelman is here donning his PGA Tour Live shirt. Looking good, Mark.
Yeah, let's go. Look, we're having longer days here with the weather up in Atlanta. Yeah, but it's nice to be on live. It's been a fun couple shows. The golf course has been awesome, and the field is great, and Scottie is doing Scottie stuff. So all good right now, man.
Yeah, he certainly is, and the top of the board is getting more mature. There was an hour and a half delay. The final group is just finishing up on 18 right now, so they will be done by the time we get to them. Let's start with those early movers, Mark, some guys who were able to fly up the leaderboard this morning, and I want to start with Tommy Fleetwood, who went out and shot a 4 under 67, and it was bogey free. I suppose the good news is that it was bogey free. The bad news is he made par on all 3 of the par 5s, so maybe left a couple of strokes out there for Tommy Lad, but nice to see him put together one of the better rounds of the day.
I actually said this, I'm on the mainstream for ESPN Plus, and we had him for the first few holes, and the way he drives it and the way he hits it, I made the comment as if to say there's a sense of inevitability about Tommy, and it's got to happen sometime soon. He's won over in Europe. He's the silver medalist from the Olympics. He's got the complete game. If there's an Achilles heel, it is the putter. But then just somehow it seems like there's always a little something in the round that he just needs to iron out. And on this golf course, to your point, the par 5s are certainly the soft underbelly of the place because the par 4s are stout. The 3s are not being played as hard as what they can given the firmness of the greens. So the rules officials are going a little shorter with the yardages of the holes to let the guys take the ball in the air with shorter clubs. But for Tommy to get out there bogey free, that's great. But not to get one of the 5s, that is giving up, at least 2.5 strokes to the field, if not more, because both 18 and 14 open for business, man. They're basically playing like long par 4s right now.
Yeah, all 3 of the par 5s are at least a half stroke under par in the second round. So those are certainly some big missed opportunities. And those opportunities were not missed for Tony Finau, who got off to a little bit of a slow start yesterday, Mark, but he bounced back with a 5 under 66. Just one blemish on the card early. Number 2, the par 3, he makes a bogey, but then he puts together a very solid round after that was highlighted by the flat stick. Not something you often get to say about Tony Finau. He picked up over a stroke and a half on the putting surfaces.
Yeah, he's been, you used the word solid, and I think that's the perfect descriptor for him because through the summer here, he really has been quite solid, but nothing really spectacular. He's been there and thereabouts. He's hitting the ball fine, making the putts when he should, and playing some solid golf here at Eastlake this week. But the sad thing for Tony is that, look, if you're trying to chase down Scottie Scheffler, you're going to do spectacular. But what he is doing, which is very important, you're obviously playing for bonuses and extra money, but with his play, I feel like he's solidifying his selection on the U.S. President's Cup team for the President's Cup in September. So, look, everyone here at this event has something to play for, even though it seems like Scheffler's that far ahead. Every shot makes someone happy for some reason, and I feel like today was a good day for Tony. And now it's just time to kick that on, to turn this into 2 more of those, if not better, over the weekend and try and really vault up this leaderboard.
Yeah, 12 shots behind Scottie Scheffler is Tony Finau, but only 3 shots behind 4th place. So there is still a lot of money to be earned over the course of the last 36. How about Ludvig Aberg? And Mark, he was one of the biggest losers in round 1. He actually dropped, I think it was 11 spots in his position from where he started in solo 5th after his first round, but he bounces back here with a 3 under 68 to claw back a few of those positions. He's still struggling with the putter. He was dead last on Friday, losing over 3 strokes putting. So to put that into perspective, you gain a stroke to the field in total, you're 3 under par, and you kicked away 3 on the putting surfaces. He must have done everything else pretty well.
Yeah, so in other words, he's hitting it like a god, which
Yes.
he normally does. I mean, funny you mention him because just before our call, doing some research for tomorrow, the PGA Tour Swing Theory series that I do with him, we recorded here recently, and Ludvig was one of the 8 we recorded. Amongst others, there was Will Zalatoris and Shane Lowry and a few really interesting ones. But anyhow, so I'm watching the Ludvig episode, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how this guy ever doesn't hit it flush. And he doesn't. I mean, it's like AI golf, the way he plays. It's crazy. And he's like a video game when it leaves the driver and when the irons fly into the green. But there is that fissure with a putter. And in many sort of respects, he kind of really reminds me of Scottie Scheffler a few seasons ago, where Scheffler flushed it the whole time and was missing putts that meant something. Then he figured that out, and now he's almost unbeatable, if you will, and he's always around. And the reality of this is that you can't out-hit a bulky putter, even if you Scottie and even if you're Ludvig. You'll finish in the top 10 a bunch, like Ludvig's kind of doing, but for him to do what he's supposed to do, he's got to find a way around that putter. I do know this. He's got great counsel in Hans Larsson, his coach, and then, of course, he's got a couple other guys from the Swedish Golf Federation that guide him. And he's got a solid head on his shoulders, so I'm certain here over the off-season he'll probably go work on that. But he's going to have to putt well if he wants to contend and win the events that we know he can, because, like I say, when he hits it, it's like a video game. So he should be contending for big and major events like this one.
Yeah, I just don't like to see the short misses. He seems to have a lot of short misses from, you know, 3.5 feet and 4 feet. Those are not only going to hurt the stats, but they start to weigh on you a bit as well. But we'll see. I agree. Plenty of growth opportunities for Ludvig as we're on the verge of just his first professional year being completed here. Last guy from the early movers here, Mark, and that's Sahith Theegala, who is putting together 2 very good rounds. In fact, he has the 3rd best just raw score this week. So he has gone 67, 66. That 66 from today was highlighted by a 4 birdie barrage in his final 5 holes to get this thing in at that number. And this is what we've seen from Sahith all year long. A great short game, the ability to get hot and put a lot of circles on the card. And now he is vaulting up the leaderboard.
Yeah, he's amazing to me the way he plays, and I've been lucky to call him a few times, and there's this glorious sort of freedom about him. But the one thing that struck me with Sahith is, as I watch him play, it should look, because the body is so free and limber and loose, it should be that he's somewhat injury averse. But the word we're getting from Eastlake is that he's kind of got battling with little injuries here and there, and every week it seems to me like there's a little something going on with Sahith. And that is, it's not the best of news for any sort of professional athlete, but especially a golfer. And his is the kind of swing where if you were like trying to rechange something or retool something to maybe alleviate some pressure somewhere in your body, his golf swing is just so natural and so authentic. And there's so many matchups, there's so many things going on, that if you change one thing, the knock-on effect will be almost impossible, I feel like, to kind of adjust. So it's a curious case right now, because every time he plays, he's around and about. But then he also has this penchant to play great for 3 rounds, or even more than that, 63 holes, and then just have 4 or 5, maybe 9 holes that aren't as sharp. So I feel like it's time for Sahith now to kind of figure out the injury stuff, get himself healthy, have a great weekend first off, and then take some time off, get healthy, and because he can be a real weapon for the U.S. in the upcoming President's Cup because of the way he plays, the way he putts, and just his nature in the locker room. I feel like he's going to be awesome in the team room.
Yeah, he's the one I'm really looking forward to seeing get a taste of a little bit of international team golf. So he'll be there. He will be in Montreal, and he is currently in a tie for 4th. Mark, we're going to turn our attention towards the top of the board and really pan out how this weekend could possibly go to determine our FedEx Cup champion. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Yep, they're wrapping up the summer. And now we're looking forward to kicking it with superstars. Now that's CBS Sports Sunday. We'll see you on September 8th.
And we're back. So we mentioned that Sahith is currently in a tie for fourth at 12 under par. Two of the players that he is tied with are Wyndham Clark and Adam Scott. Let's start with Wyndham Clark here, Mark, who is not afraid to put circles and squares on his scorecard. He found another water hazard today. I believe he leads the playoffs in that category, but it was full of firepower. He had a stretch between 3 and 7. That 5-hole stretch in which he made 4 birdies, but that stretch was bookended by bogeys on 2 and 8. He made an eagle on number 14. Wyndham is electric to watch, and just saying that he's opened up with a pair of 67s doesn't really do it justice.
I don't think so. He's kind of our Jordan Spieth for the week, the way he's playing, right? but you're right. He is electric, and he is like a lightning rod because the guy has so much power. You know, if he hits it in the fairway over here, he's going to have wedges into every target. So it's kind of the recipe for a birdie bonanza, which he's showing us. I'm just kind of happy to see that he's playing well again, because at the beginning of the year, well, let's extend it to last year when he had a couple victories, the US Open, obviously that he won at LACC. Then he came out early this year and was playing super. And then the game sort of fell off for a while, but it looks like he's got the traction back. It looks like he's got a handle on the golf swing, because when someone hits the ball that hard, you know, if you hit it crooked, it goes further and farther into trouble. And so that's where he looks like he's got that fade shot back off the tee. And he just goes at it flat out all the time. I feel like if there's an area for him to iron out strangely, it's around the green, on and around the greens, because usually I feel like he's a super chipper and putter. But it just looks to me like there's one or two of those, the putts that he was making when he was winning, those have got to start going down. But as far as I'm concerned, as I watch where he is and I see where he's going, it looks like the trend is going back up. So if you're a Wyndham Clark fan, I feel like there's sunshine on your horizon.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly headed in the right direction. It's just not a perfect line up and to the right. One step back, 2 steps forward, all that fun stuff. That third man at 12 under is Adam Scott. And Mark, it's been a very good playoff run for Adam Scott. He got to the 17th hole today before making his first bogey of the week. And he is probably one of the most interesting stat profiles that we have. He's 3rd in strokes gained off the tee, so he's driving it beautifully. He's leading the field in strokes gained putting, and he's nearly dead last in strokes gained approach. So he's really doing a lot of damage off the tee and on the putting surfaces, but he is not getting to the green in a very efficient manner.
He was, I guess if we had a feature group today, it was Adam Scott. And man, he had some tee shots today that were just glorious. And there was no holding back. You can see when a golfer is confident because they just let the golf swing happen. It's uninterrupted from start to finish, and especially from the top of the backswing through to the finish. And with a driver and the long clubs in hand, it's like he was just opening up and letting it go as hard as he could. And these balls weren't just dribbling into the fairway, they were spanked into the fairway in a long ways at high speed as well. And you're right, I felt like the iron game was a little suspect. But that being said, I also felt like there were certain targets that maybe it didn't warrant him going at them. And so there would be a right hole location, some sort of hanging lie with a wedge, for argument's sake. He'd undercut the wedge, missed the thing short right. So all of a sudden, strokes gained, it's showing that that's not a very good iron shot. So I feel like maybe if he tightens up the shot selection and almost like a Scottie Scheffler, play the ball instead of 15 feet to the short side of the flag, just play it 15 feet to the wide side of the flag or 15 feet under the hole, whatever the case might be. And then you start to give your putter a better chance. Because it looks to me like what I saw, the putter is swinging as freely as the driver. So if he can find a way somehow to get the ball on the greens a little bit more consistently, I think everything's coming up roses. Because he looks evergreen right now, and I made the comment, and a gentleman I really respect in Bill Kratzer, who's seen the comings and the goings, my comment was, I feel like Adam's playing the best golf of his career right now, and Bill agreed. And if Bill agrees with me, then I know I'm onto something. So I feel like it's just maybe shot selection with the irons, and Adam may be on the verge of something kind of special.
Interesting. Okay. I like to hear that because Adam Scott's my one and done this week. Mark, he was the only guy. He was basically the only guy I had left. So all my hopes and dreams are riding with Adam Scott at the moment.
Yeah. Look, for me, I'm playing it out. I'm like Rory McIlroy with 12 holes to go, and I'm thinking about my vacation. I'm planning my 2025 one and done season already.
I love it. I love it. Well, there are 3 golfers that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. So as mentioned, those T4s, they're in at 12 under. Then a big gap to Xander Schauffele, who sits solo third at 16 under. And Mark, this was the round that we expected from Xander and that Xander needed. After an opening round 70, he had lost a significant action towards the rest of the field here, and Xander fixed it. A 7 under 64 that was bogey free, and from a statistical standpoint, it was just very well rounded, what you'd expect to see from one of, if not the best players in the world. So this was great. He closed the gap a little bit on Scottie Scheffler here, but I wonder if that Thursday round kind of ruined his chances of winning the Tour Championship.
I wouldn't say ruined. I think that's a strong word because there's a lot of golf left, but it certainly put him behind the 8 ball. And I'd like you to share that statistical profile with me, but before you do that, because the guy I saw today, and he was playing alongside Adam Scott, even though he was hit, it looked to me like he was fighting his golf swing a little bit. Now, on and around the greens, he looked like virtuoso. He is just so sound on the greens. He'd be the kind of guy right now that if I needed someone to hold an 8-footer for my life, he'd be the first man I call. That's how I'm trusting what he's doing with the flat stick in his hand. And with the driver, he's adequately long. And he's finding a way to get the ball in play on the holes that he needs to take advantage, like the par 5s. They might not be hit like on the button, but they're down there far enough he can make birdies on the holes that count. But there were one too many swings where it just looked like he was unconvinced, sort of carving and tinkering with the swing a little bit. So I'm keen to know what the numbers look like, because I saw a guy that didn't really look like he had his best stuff today.
Well, they do match up quite well with your eye test. So he was slightly below average off the tee. He lost just a hair. He's 18th out of 30, and all of these numbers are for today only. He was 4th on approach. He was 8th around the green, and then he picked up a massive 2.7 on the putting surfaces, 3rd from there. So you're a little bit loose with the driver. The rest of his game was pretty sharp.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if he's wanting to chase down Scottie, who's cutting an ominous figure right now, I think the case in point for Xander would be his second last hole today. He stands there, and the way the hole's been redesigned is awesome. And the longer guys like Xander can challenge the trees down the left. They've cut the bunker across the fairway. And if you hit a 330, you can run something down there close. But he sort of hits this toeish hook in the trees down the left, blasts a low running shot over the back of the green. Best he can do is 10 feet, 15 feet from there. He hits it to that and then buries the par putts. Then on the next hole, hits an okay drive down there, 5-iron from a perfect lie, turns one left of the green, leaves himself a tough up and in. Where if he wants to catch Scottie over the weekend, he's going to have to do everything right. And you essentially, it's not the birdies you make, I think it's the bogeys you avoid if you Schauffele and Morikawa. And if you are having to make the odd 10, 15 footer for par, you're asking a lot, because these greens are still new. And we've seen a number of players where you can hit a putt on the line where instead of taking the break, it might just hold straight because the grass hasn't really settled. So he's got to really figure out a way to make sure he can put a little less stress on the short game to keep himself in it.
If Xander Schauffele is going to catch Scottie Scheffler, he's also going to have to catch Collin Morikawa first, who has opened up this championship 66-63. And in terms of raw scoring, he has been the best player in this field by 2 strokes, 129 of them for Collin Morikawa, 131 for Scottie Scheffler. And this is just a birdie bonanza for Collin this week. He's already made 16 of them. That is the most in the field. He had a stretch from 6, 7, and 8, in which he made a birdie on all 3 of those holes today. Remember the stretch of 6 straight he had yesterday. And then he piled on 5 more circles on the second 9 at East Lake. And this is a nearly flawless performance that we've gotten out of him this week, Mark. He's still 4 shots back behind Scottie Scheffler because of the staggered start, but absolutely phenomenal way to get this thing rolling.
Hi, I'm Mark. I've been very critical of the guy on your screen over there, Collin Morikawa. As you know, I mean, all you guys have been saying, well, statistically, he looks fine. And the guy I've seen just hasn't looked as convincing. The ball strike, that is. I mean, the results have been okay, but he hasn't hit the ball like on the button like he did when he was winning major events. And that guy, the 2020, 2021 Collin Morikawa showed up this week. It's as good as I've seen him look. The golf swing's timed, the ball flight's tight, it's hit in the air, there's nothing really wiped. The mishits are still flush, so they're covering their numbers. And I feel like that's why he's getting so many good looks. And then, of course, look, you can hit it great, but you got to make putts. And he's figured out a way around these greens very, very fast. And every putt he's hitting is almost perfect for pace. You don't make birdies without making putts, right? And it's just everything to me looks like it's falling into its groove. And the ball striking looks like it's helping the putting mentally. And then as he makes putts, it looks like it's freeing up the mind with the ball striking a little bit. So we've got this confluence of events with Morikawa where the making the putts is allowing him to hit better shots, and then he's converting. And I feel like the confidence with him, it looks like it's just percolating. And he's not backing down for Scheffler, who's looking pretty stout. And Collin's up there. He's up for this stuff, and he knows he can win. And I feel like he realizes he's fighting his best stuff, and no better time than at the Tour Championship with the FedEx Cup on the line.
He's leading the field in fairways hit. He is 4th in greens in regulation. He is 3rd in putting. That is a very, very good combination after 36 holes. But that gap, Mark, that gap is still 4 shots because Scottie Scheffler shot a 66 today to go with the 65 that he shot yesterday. So the man who started at 10 under has already improved his score by another 11 under par. Added up, he's at 21 under. And Scottie, despite his lead shrinking, goes from 7 to 4, still looking like he's very much in control here.
He's very much in control. And look, Rick, in my opinion, it's not just the ball hitting. It's the mindset and the cerebral approach, the course management and the shot making. Now, he's driving the ball like a god. He is hitting it so long. Now, the ball's traveling a long way because the conditions are just so hot. But he is hitting the thing long and very accurately. So this is allowing him to now play a little offense. But the thing about it is we had him in round 1 in the feature groups on the main channel. And every approach shot he hits, and I've said this to you before, was kind of on the wide side of the targets. And we've got Andy North on the golf course for us. And Andy North, he has won 2 US Opens. So he's no scrub. And he's called golf. He's called Tiger in his prime on the golf course. And I made the statement, I'm like, one thing Scottie does is if he's in trouble or if there's a difficult shot, he will never put undue pressure on himself by short-sighting himself. And if the club's not there, he's in between clubs or whatever the case might be, or the wind's unpredictable, he'll just hit the ball on the safe side of the flag. And so as a result, he makes it hard for the competition to catch him because he's essentially not beating himself. And Andy North goes, I agree, Mark. And I've seen a couple guys do things the same way in the past. And those guys are Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. And they were pretty good. And so that's how Scottie's playing. When he's in position with a comfortable club in his hand, he'll play offense, but he won't short-side himself. When he's in between clubs, he'll just put that thing out there 20, 25 feet left of the flag, and he gives his putter a chance. And he's holed 1 or 2 of those this week, which is just sort of adding to the momentum. Then you add to that this guy just seems like he's so cool with everything, and he's so present. He looks unbeatable. He truly does. And he doesn't look unbeatable because of all the physical gifts. It's just the mindset, the decision-making, and the fact that he hits not a good shot, but the correct shot every single time. It's uncanny to watch. And as Andy North said, and I agree, it's kind of Tiger-esque in a way.
Well, the 7-shot lead is down to 4, but Scottie has a 5-shot lead over third and a 9-shot lead at least over everybody else, which I think is going to create quite a big gap in these odds that Josh is going to throw up on the screen. Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. So,
okay, I'm on my phone, so I can't see this. So tell me how stupid
I will read them to you. First off, if your name is not Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, or Collin Morikawa, you are 120 to 1 or longer. Okay. So Vegas says this is 3 horses at the midway point. Scottie Scheffler is minus 340. So lay 340 to win 100. Xander Schauffele, who is 4 shots back, is 5.5 to 1. Collin Morikawa, 4 shots back, is 7 to 1. So this is a heavy favorite for Scottie, and if not Scottie, it's going to be Collin or Xander. That's what Vegas says.
Look, after I've just gloated about Scheffler, and I do feel like he's going to win it, just a gambler, giving yourself the best chance to maybe get a little lucky. I feel like Morikawa and Xander are decent numbers to put, I don't know, $10, $100, whatever it is on. But I would hedge my bet with a little extra on Scheffler. Because he just is that good right now. But like I said, Xander, the way he's putting, he's intriguing to me. Collin with the confidence, he's intriguing to me too. But they're going to have to chase Scottie down, but they can't afford many mistakes. Now I know it's 4 and 5, and there's 36 holes left. But if I'm looking at the tea leaves now, and I'm going by precedent, which is what I would do in a law room, in a court of law. I'd look at this and go, well, the precedent says that Scottie's not going to do anything dumb, and he's not going to make soft bogeys. And so if he does that, the way he's driving it, he's good for another 8 under par, unless we get a serious weather change, which is not forecast. So that puts him at, 29? So these guys are going to have to go bananas to get him.
Yeah, and as much as I would love to see, I mean, if Collin were to win this, it would be a historic 4 rounds. He has already put together 2 very, very low rounds. We know how hard it is to continue that over 4 days. Just the level of attrition that he's going to run into on Scottie Scheffler here and Xander Schauffele. So I think Xander is kind of live, but Scottie looks very much in control, and like he's going to finally get that breakthrough and that FedEx Cup.
Yeah, good call there. I think it's due. I think he is due. No one's due anything. Golf doesn't owe anyone anything. But this is a guy, this is the 3rd time he's come into this event as the number 1 seed. And that in itself is a mammoth feat. And he's been chased down by McIlroy, and the first time he sort of spilled the lead a little bit too. So I think it's time. And he has spoken to the fact that this is meaningful to him. So I feel like there's the resolve is there, and I feel like there's almost like a chip on his shoulder that he's got a point to prove right now, and he's certainly playing that way. So I think it would be the perfect ending to what has been another, season for the record books for Scottie Scheffler.
Well, golf is crazy and anything can happen. Who knows? Maybe our 7-shot lead, which was now cut to 4, maybe by this time tomorrow, it'll be 1. I have no idea, but no matter how it goes, we'll be here the rest of the way to get you all the updates that you need. Big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman at Mark_Immelman. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.